32 teams, 32 boroughs, 32 kings. It was all a dream until we woke y'all up while the fat lady sings. We gon' count these dimes, 7 partners in crime, 7 names, no games as I run it down the line. We got Kenny Ken, put 100 on the T's with the streak for the cash, ESPN. Skinny the comedian and thespian, spitting jokes faster than a Tommy gun. But somehow Lucius is the only funny one. Seth Curry with the shot. In reality, he's more like Seth, but he's all we got. Up next is Gentleman Jack, better known as Junior Blue. We told him not to do it anyway, but he did what he do. To his right is Devin, that dude, Eldad or Dirt Ass Dan. Just don't ask him a question, cause then he'll answer your question with another question, and then he'll add another question on top of that question. Damn. And I'm Red O, the Buck Wild Problem Child.
Flow Butter, aka John Cutter.
It's the league ambassadors, and we playing to win. At the 2-yard line, and make no mistake, we running it in. Pete Carroll, we see you.
Thank you for visiting 32 Kings Road.
Deja vu.
Hosted by the League Ambassadors. I'm Ambassador Kenny Ken, and it is my pleasure to be here today with my brothers.
Again.
This is season 2 of our show, 32 Kings Road, episode 1. And that voice you hear whispering in the background is our resident bar master.
Oh, man.
Red O.
I got a question for Devin though. In the video, were you channeling your John Gruden? Is that what you were doing?
I was weighing options, which apparently went well with the bar.
It did.
So you're welcome.
He was weighing questions.
On today's show, we'll be sipping on our weekly drink, as well as sipping on the hottest and latest football tea in Hot Topics. We'll be taking a look at some NFL history, and we will also be nominating our first Brexit Bootbag Award winner. As a reminder, you can follow us everywhere on social media. Our handle is @TheLeagueAM. Also, check out our YouTube channel, The League Ambassadors. Please visit our website, theleagueam.com. For those of you that don't know, we just a few weeks ago completed our second show, Multi-Sports Confirmation Bias.
Yeah.
So we got that on there. We got great write-ups on there from our chief diplomat, Chief Diplomat Nick Blackman. Also,
white. He's white. Nick Blackman's white. Just
wow. Yeah, and Skinny is back on the show. Hollywood Skinny is back.
We are about diversity.
check out our blog spot, Diplomatic Immunity, the place where fans everywhere can speak their mind freely. And finally, please rate, download, and share our podcast, 32 Kings Road, as well as Confirmation Bias. But let's do what we always do. Let's start the show with Ambassador Roll Call, and we should probably start with Omar.
Wow.
Red O, what you sipping on, baby?
I'm sipping on a Cedre with a little bit of Buffalo Trace up in there. Hey, it's hot in here, baby.
Enhanced.
I'm also sipping on one. Nick Blackman ain't full of nobody. He ain't white. He's real pale.
Listen. He's extremely Michael Rappaport-ish. But that's why we fucks with him.
Right.
Not so.
You know who he is.
I had something to say about the Floyd fight, but we all know that went exactly how I said it was going to say, man. I'm just happy we back. Let's get it going.
Let's get it going. Dad. What you sipping on?
Question.
I'm sipping on my Irish Uncle Jamie.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's the good uncle.
And I'm just sipping on, after all of the sex and the trash from May, June, and July, my Baltimore Orioles, are 1.5 games out of the wild card, and we shit the bed. We haven't had a winning, unlike you fuckers, we haven't had a winning month until August, and we ready.
The Dodgers.
Yeah, the Dodgers.
Yeah. Manny Machado plays baseball good.
Yeah, he is. He's a good baseball player.
He's still a bitch.
He does do that.
Agree.
Hey,
wow.
Whoa. Jeez, calm the fuck down.
Happy to be here.
Fresh off of vacay, we got Junior Blue with no gentleman jack, but you do got something though.
I got this awesome Broso tequila because I woke up this morning in Cancun, but I made it to the first show this year, unlike last year.
Yes.
Come to find out, Ambassador Red O is trying to get a record deal. I mean,
Sign him, Dame.
I need to.
Hey, Dame got a record deal.
Hey, Damon got the connection.
Dame's a boss, though.
He is a boss. Independent.
Hey, if you notice about Omar's lyrics, he complimented two people, Kenyon and himself. Everybody else he shitted on.
I can explain that.
Nah, you already explained it.
Yeah.
By 4x4.
One, you don't shit on the host.
That ain't why you didn't shit on him. Because he made you some money a couple times. Hustler.
That's some Ice Cube NWA shit.
Right.
Chef Curry. Or is it
What's
Seth?
up, guys?
Or is it Seth?
Hey,
He's
listen,
all we got.
It's Ambassador Chef Curry until further notice. Look, I'm sipping on this Bud Lime for two reasons. One, because it was the only thing I had that was cold, and it matches my outfit, my skin, so I'm going to roll with it.
I'm glad you said it was the only thing you had cold, because you got 96 bottles of liquor behind you.
$1,000 of warm liquor behind me. But look, through 129 games, Mr. Giancarlo Stanton has 51 home runs.
Yes, he does.
He is just 10 shy of the clean home run record of Roger Maris set in 1961. I think he's going to get it, guys.
All right.
I believe so.
Well, before we give it to the guy who hasn't shut up yet, Hollywood Skinny, for the first time...
That was for me?
For the first time in NFL history, there are 8 teams that have a starting quarterback, or they've had the starting quarterback for 10 straight seasons. Brady, Eli, Phillip Rivers, Big Ben, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Matty Ice, Joe Flacco. Those 8 quarterbacks have won 7 out of the 9 last Super Bowls. What you sipping on? The only 2, what am I sipping on? I'm sipping on some tequila. Shh.
It ain't sharing with nobody.
Nope.
He can't. Look at that little motherfucker. You better have all of them.
I had several sips of my Buffalo.
But right. But the other 2 quarterbacks were Russell Wilson and then Peyton Manning. And Russell Wilson, we know, will be in Seattle for 10 seasons. And Peyton Manning was in Indianapolis for a long time.
As long as he doesn't get hurt because of,
Yeah.
All right.
But the point is, if you want to win a Super Bowl, you probably need to get the right quarterback and then hold on to the right quarterback. Foreshadowing. Hollywood Skinny, welcome back.
So glad to be here.
What you sipping on, brother?
So, a couple Fridays ago, Jeffrey Regal passed of cancer. He's a super fan of the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm bringing the story up because in his obituary, he asked to have 8 Philadelphia Eagles as pallbearers, so the Eagles could let him down one last time.
Oh shit!
This Jeffrey Regal is by far the example, the definition of a die-hard fan.
Literally.
Oh, that's funny. Oh. I didn't know where you were going with that because you said cancer and death, and I'm like, what are we doing,
It's
Skinny?
misdirection. It's misdirection. Oh, and what I'm sipping on is, well, we're all sipping on it. But it's mine.
Is it all yours?
Shout out to Buffalo Trip.
Oh, and with that, let's get into our football tea, also known as the hot topics. We're coming. Speaking of all mine, first off, this has been the NFL offseason, so what we want to do is we want to basically talk about some of the hottest topics in the offseason as well as cover what's going on currently that's pretty hot. We'll start with the Roger Goodell extension. He is in line to sign a 5-year extension through 2024, which to me is kind of surprising considering that 2 of the most powerful owners in Robert Kraft and Jerry Jones, he has butted heads with The question that I have for you guys as fans, is this a good idea or a bad idea that the owners seem to be re-upping with Mr. Goodell? I'll go to you first, Junior Blue.
As a fan, it's how can you like it? There's no team, no player that is a Goodell fan at all.
James Harrison.
And that's barely.
No, he hates it.
Yeah. And so yeah, it's for a fan. No, it's not good at all. For the owners, yeah, they love it.
Well, because the money. I mean,
Yeah,
they've made
the
so much money.
Yeah.
What
League revenue is $17 billion.
Hey, what gets me though is he's literally averaged $39 million over the last 4 years.
Yeah.
His base salary
Oh my
is under
God.
10
It's,
now.
it's in the 40s.
His
no
base
cap
salary
for
is
that.
under 10.
Yeah, he's
He hits his performance
Every year.
incentives every year.
He made $44 million in like 2014, and it went
Yeah.
down to $34 million the next year.
So
Kev?
And that's how you know it's all about the money,
Yep.
because despite the drop in ratings, despite the fact that fans hate him, players hate him, like you said, Ken, two of the most powerful owners in the league had issues with him, Tom Brady even, the money's there. I think the average NFL team is worth, what, $2.3 billion?
yeah, something like that.
They're making money, and at the end of the day,
The
they're getting
Cleveland Browns
paid.
are worth
The rest of it
2.3.
doesn't matter.
He
Yeah,
he has a
average.
goal to hit $25 billion by 2027 for league
For
revenue.
league revenue?
Yes.
Right now, correctly, are 14 this year, not 17.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
but they on their way.
Yeah.
Because he started in 07. By 2010, from now, he's increased it to $6 billion more. They went from 8 to 14. So the owners don't give a shit about what the fans think, because they make money hand over fist. So with Jerry and Mr. Kraft, them button heads, they don't care because their pocket's still getting laced.
The funny thing is, it doesn't matter what those two think, because the owners voted on a committee to negotiate with him, and that they're so happy they gave this 6-member committee of owners the power to say yay or nay. They didn't have to vote on it.
Oh, wow.
So it's the committee. So that's how you know they were like,
Sound
nah.
like some mob commission.
Yeah, but that's how you know they're happy. They can say whatever they want. The man is doing his job for them.
yeah.
And that's what
And
his
that's
job.
his job.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's go to the other side of the negotiating table. Mr. Goodell. On the other side, and he might be there, he might not be there, was Mr. D. Smith.
Cyrus.
And I want to go to you, Kevin, first, because he just last week had it just aired a Real Sports interview with Brian Gumbel, where
OG right there.
for me
Where Brian got black for the second time.
the three takeaways were: one,
Camera.
Right.
D. Smith said that the owners are greedy. He seemed very comfortable, surprisingly to me, with the economics of the current collective bargaining agreement.
I understand it, though.
And then number 3, he called this Roger Goodell, who is about to re-up big time, he called him a liar and untrustworthy. Kevin, my question is, if you were an NFL player, how would you feel?
If I'm a player, I feel hoodwinked, bamboozled,
Led
led astray,
Run amok.
run amok. Listen,
Shanghai even.
Brian Gumbel asked him, what do you think is the best part of the 2011 CBA? And this coon, which I'm going to call him, said all of it. If he honestly thinks all of that CBA is great for the players, he is truly a fool. Granted, I'll give him the salary cap went up for the first time ever. Owners had to deposit funds into player pensions. But outside of that, those are the only 2 clear wins for them. And when he was asked if he thought economically the players made out well, and he again thought that was a positive, he's fooled compared to what other players in the 2 other major sports make, especially what we saw with NBA players signing over the summer. In their
Tyler
careers
Johnson
of
gets
3.5
$80 million.
years on average, they're losing, man.
Right. Omar?
The biggest problem is not what he negotiated for the little parts. It's the 10 years that he negotiated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because economics change in 4 or 5 years. Because at the time it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
10 years later, it's
could be.
horrible.
But in that interview, he said, we didn't want any options. We were happy with what we got, so we negotiated no options.
Cyrus.
Yeah, and that's the no league has ever negotiated that long of a contract for any sort of CBA ever, and he was happy. But shout out to my man Brian Gumbel though.
Yeah.
Don't forget he's from the NO.
Hey, he was like, really? Come on, son. Come on, son.
So it's basically what I'm taking away from it is not a surprise that we're definitely going to have a labor dispute.
But here's the thing.
At the end of this collective.
Here's the thing.
Definitely.
I'm looking at I'm very interested in what the players do because the vote is coming up to replace him. Somebody else is throwing their name in the hat, Mr. Cyrus. And he's the one who him and Johnny Cochran pushed for the Rooney Rule, and they got the Rooney Rule because they put pressure on the NFL. He's out there saying that I can do this.
Right.
DeMar Smith messed up. Now the players, and I'm talking to all you players. The definition of crazy is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. If you have Mrs. Smith doing the negotiating for you because he curled up like a little girl for Roger and he basically admitted it, then y'all crazy. Y'all need to switch up to something new or take it like you want it.
Yeah, my thing was even with Cyrus, even though he has that track record, he mentioned what he was going to do, and Bryant was like, "Really? That's it? That's all you going to do?"
Well, I feel like he was in a bad position there because he's asking him to reveal what he's going to do, and then that's going to give the owners a heads up.
Yeah, right.
So he was looking at him like, I'm not telling you. All right, I'm gonna say this, but that was the wrong thing for him.
How about my man's answer when Bryant asked Smith if he wanted to come back?
He left DeMorris in the sunken place. Like, if you wanted to come back, you say yes. I think he's done. March 2018.
Yeah.
Or he thinks he's going to lose.
The problems with the CBA, they've been going on before DeMorris got there.
Yeah.
It was the thing specifically started with Gene Upshaw, who was
rest in peace.
Who was, I guess, in control of the CBA for so long. Everybody just got comfortable one way or the other. And then, remember, abruptly, he passed.
Right.
And then so they needed to quickly find somebody. And then that's where you get Mrs. Smith coming out of nowhere. He's not doing anything. Omar knows this term. He's a studio thug. When he's talking Omar studio thug. No.
Okay.
That's what I heard.
That's what I heard too.
No.
That's what Dame heard.
We've heard conversations.
Just calm down. trying to stir something. Mm-hmm. No, but he can talk big in front of Brian Gumbel, but when it comes to it, he bitches up in front of Goodell.
Well, he didn't talk big in front of Bryant.
And then, first of all, it was bullshit. The answer of "I'm happy with everything" is bullshit but I understand why he
didn't. He call Goodell such and such
a liar.
Okay, yeah, that's the. He does none of that. He does the exact opposite when it comes to actually negotiating.
Cyrus.
All right. Well, let's move on to another big offseason story, which it started last season.
Yes, it did.
Kept going through the offseason, and is still going now, and that's the story of Mr. Colin Kaepernick. Not so much about the fact that he doesn't have a job. I mean, that's been beaten into the ground. But my question that I have for you guys, and I'll go to you first, Dad, is, has Cap sparked a movement? We've got players, more and more players joining in. Mm-hmm. We've got white players now touching black players. We've got more and more people that are speaking out on it. Is there a movement here? There was the march at the protest at the NFL office?
I absolutely believe there is a movement. There's over 30 players now that have either knelt, sat, raised a fist, or, in your words, white man touching shoulders, showing support. So I definitely think that there is a movement. Also, there are a lot of quote-unquote woke people saying that they will not be watching the NFL until Colin gets a job. I mean, I know it's probably a small portion of people that will actually follow through with that, but the fact that people are saying that and willingly saying that, I definitely think it is a movement and is bringing awareness, definitely more so than last year, but there's still some people on that train.
The coon train.
I disagree for the moment.
Okay.
Because what's the dude who played the white guy who knelt for the Cleveland Browns guy? Mm-hmm. That had nothing to do with him. His black wife said, "If you don't kneel, you're not getting none of this." He went out there and kneel.
I don't know about that.
Oh, he got a black wife?
He has a black
that's
wife.
why he kneeled.
They making daywalkers?
They got black children, so
look,
he understands.
My point is a movement. I see the starting of a movement, but I don't think it's a movement yet. Starting of a movement is every player in the NFL kneeling.
It has to start from somewhere.
Yeah,
though. It was 3 players.
But like I
last year
said,
to
it's a
30 plus.
start.
I said a start.
This is not a movement yet.
Yeah.
To call it a movement is to me is wrong. Yet it is gaining ground, especially because of the environment we're in.
I want to shout out JT Brown. For those of you that don't know, he's a hockey player down in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is one of those, and Tony Dungy jumped on this, wanted the city to remove one of the Confederate statues. JT Brown put his own money up so that could actually happen, and he said that the real impetus for him even wanting to do that was what Colin Kaepernick was doing, because he's one of 30, I believe, black NHL players, and he said, all he heard was, "You're just a player, shut up." But he feels like, now is the time, like, we've got to speak up. So,
well, when the Jets hire Kaepernick, that's when we got a movement going.
Yes, Kev. I
think we should give credit to Cap for literally putting his money where his mouth is. His $1 million challenge, he's sticking to it.
Yeah, he is.
He said what he was trying to accomplish and actually went out and did it. And anyone who is criticizing him for either not speaking up now, it means nothing if he's actually out here in the streets doing exactly what he set out to do. So
and nobody's really talking about that.
All right, last big story for the offseason anyway. There's some new changes. It's new season, new rule changes. We've got changes too on sportsmanlike conduct, specifically on the leaping of field goals. We also have a change to unsportsmanlike conduct, which I really didn't even know that this happened, but it makes sense to me when I read about it in terms of intentional fouls. So end of game situations, if you basically, let's say you're in a no huddle or hurry up situation, and if all of the secondary guys are holding receivers, then the quarterback has nowhere to go with the ball. The clock is still running, right? And so apparently Baltimore, you guys, the Harbaugh brothers, San Francisco,
we did it twice.
And then in Baltimore, you guys have done it.
Won
and
a
so
Super Bowl doing that.
Now they say that they're going to reset the clock on those. They'll award the 15-yard penalty and then reset the clock so that you're not effectively burning the clock.
I don't care about that because we always get a rule change 1 year late because that hurdling field goal shit killed us last year versus the Patriots.
Yeah,
of course.
But the two I want to zero in on are the change to the celebration penalty. So they're getting lenient.
No fucking change.
It's a change.
I think it's a change. I've seen more dancing in the preseason than I've seen in 3 years.
On the football in preseason last week.
I mean, it's a change, but it's like, it's
damn, Omar, you can't get no progress.
They throwing them a dime. They throwing them.
Maybe they listening to us.
Hey,
that's all we bitched about last year.
Wait, hold on. Can somebody give Les a towel for his eye sweat?
It's starting.
Hey, how hot is it in the studio? How hot is it? Yeah.
And then the last one, and I'll go to you, Junior Blue, about this. They're also shortening overtime, so it's going from 15 minutes to 10 minutes. Now, this is weird to me. Because that just means there's going to be more ties. They're doing it in the name of
player safety. I don't mind the short. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Are you Junior Blue?
Nope.
All you're gonna do, like you said, more ties, and when it comes to the end of the season, the playoff race is gonna be more confusing.
Right.
Because you're not gonna know what you're gonna get.
I actually don't have a problem with it because one, they shouldn't be playing a full fucking quarter after playing 60 minutes if they're really serious about player safety.
So you're buying the reason.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it should be that long. No other league has the overtime go that way.
So you're okay with more ties?
Hey, as long as Donovan McNabb ain't out there, we good.
I'm okay with the time change, but I don't believe
for the rest of the show.
There's an easy way to change the ties. There shouldn't be ties in football. Easily, they can adopt the real football and do a kicking situation to break ties after 10 minutes.
Okay.
They can do free kicks, move it back till somebody misses.
They don't know what they're doing with this overtime shit.
It's easy work.
Okay. Plain and simple.
The last thing, and then we'll get out of here, is preseason injuries. I'm gonna go through a roll call. Julian Edelman, ACL. Ryan Tannehill, ACL. Spencer Ware, PCL, done for the year. George Fant, ACL. Cameron Meredith, ACL.
Yep.
Anthony Hitchens, ACL.
Bye-bye.
Ryan Kelly busted his foot, center for the Indianapolis Colts, busted his foot. He's out till midseason. We still don't know when Andrew Luck's coming back.
Pass me that bottle.
San Diego Chargers, Mike Williams, we don't know when he's coming.
Yep.
Forrest Lamp, the rookie guard, ACL. Denzel Perryman out till midseason. That's the LA Chargers. Forgive me. And then we've got the Baltimore Ravens. Kenneth Dixon, Albert McClellan, Nico Siragusa, all done for the year. I'll start with you, Hollywood Skinny. Which of these high-profile injuries would you say is the most critical one, and why? And we'll just do a round table. Start with you first.
Since we just talking about overtime, I have a tie. It's
Oh shit.
Forrest Lamp and Spencer Ware. If I have to give it the edge, I'd say Forrest Lamp because Russell Wilson, his O-line has been shit since Marshawn Lynch left. So he's been running for his life. That's why they can't win in the playoffs because they can't.
So what team does Forrest Lamp play for?
Oh no, that's right, George Fant.
Jesus
Hey,
Christ.
this show is sponsored by Buffalo. So glad to be back.
He's bad.
Yeah, no.
You are
George,
batting 1,000
I was
right
trying
now,
to figure
brother.
that out.
No, George
Fant and
Yeah.
Spencer Ware.
Yeah.
The rec basketball player.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so him and then Spencer Ware. So you're not a big believer in Kareem Hunt, yes or no?
He's unproven. I mean, he should be okay, but they're gonna go to the Pokemon before him, Sharkandrick West. He's first,
Okay.
and then Kareem.
Kev, please save us.
With all of these knee injuries, it sounds like we need to invest in the knee pad industry.
Something.
But I'll go with Julian Edelman just because Tom Brady's top target. They're just expected to be there in January. I think they may struggle. They can't keep winning forever.
They
At
just
some
gonna throw it
point,
to Cook.
Wait a minute. Are you hoping?
wait.
Hold on. Are you hoping and wishing, Kev?
Yes.
Yes, he is.
Wishing on a star.
They
You
got
could-
the Orioles one game out of the wild card. I'm gonna keep doing it.
That's right. We won tonight.
Tom Brady ain't lost a step.
Nah.
Death.
I would have to say Mr. Tannehill. I mean, I know.
Hey, because you know Omar's right behind you.
I mean, with my bias aside, I mean, we had a plethora of injuries, but like I think Tannehill, just because they made the playoffs last year, I didn't really believe in them, but I mean, to break that up, I think they had something going with Gase. So
So you think Jay Cutler is not going to help at all?
Caillou has not kept
The 1 year he came through was with Adam Gase. That's the one person who knows what to do with him.
So who's your biggest injury then?
Who the fuck you think? My heart sank. Because,
Cameron Meredith.
You sent me the information. Last year, we lost 155 games due to injury.
Yeah.
The highest since 2000. And one game, we lost 5 people.
Did your strength and conditioning coach still have a job?
Hey, we have a show about that.
Hey,
from
did you
last
see the
season.
game? It had nothing to do. It was football. Cameron Meredith he went this way. Somebody tackled him this way, and his knee went that way. It had nothing to do with strength and conditioning.
Sounds like
That's a bad triangle.
It was horrible.
Junior Blue.
Sound like a football.
I had George Fant
Right.
just because every year Seattle seems like they're a title contender, and we know their offensive line sucks. And they were relying on a basketball player to fill a role, and he got hurt. So who's up next?
Well, they made a trade, right? I believe they made a trade.
They made a trade with us, but he's a backup.
Is he? Wait a minute. Translation: he's a bum.
Yeah.
He's a true bump.
Hey, that falls in line with par for the course for them, though.
Yeah, I guess
$9
so.
million on 5 dudes.
Oh, man. All right, well, it's time for our first Brexit Bootbag winner. Ambassador Dev, I'm throwing it to you, baby.
So, for our first Brexit Bootbag winner of the season, we have Mr. Ezekiel Elijah Elliott. If you've been under a rock this offseason, Mr. Zeke has been under investigation for an alleged domestic abuse of his girlfriend from last October.
Turn up.
But that's not why he's here, actually, because he actually didn't get arrested or charged for that. But Zeke is a wild boy. In the summer before last season, he was actually caught coming out of a weed dispensary. And in this offseason, he turned from a running back to a heavyweight by sweeping somebody outside of a Dallas bar. And this was right before the NFL decided to suspend him for 6 games. And image is everything. They don't want another Ray Rice situation, so they went ahead with it anyway, just because of the allegations. Jerry's right behind him 100%, like always. He's still trying to figure out how to be a rock star. He loves the Cocaine Cowboys. Now, put this in perspective. Zeke won Rookie of the Year, and he led the league in rushing. But if Alfred Morris or McFadden are able to stay healthy and get money behind that great line, he becomes sort of expendable. For the simple fact that, doesn't he know that he's in one of the most undervalued positions in the entire NFL? And doesn't he know that he's hurting his brand? They aren't getting NBA-type money, so he needs to keep it on the low and just chill. So you, sir, are fucking up the money. And this is why you are a Brexit Bootbag winner for Week 1.
Glad to be Eagles fan.
Golf clap for Mr. Ezekiel Elliott.
I'm not clapping for that. I'm just saying 6 games, baby.
Well, so what's interesting about that, right, is they're saying that even if he doesn't win his appeal, he's currently in the appeal, and it's going to a second day tomorrow. Well, no, if he gets an unsatisfactory result, that he's going to go the Tom Brady route, and they're going to take it to court. They're going to get a stay so that he doesn't miss any games, and then play it out just like Tom Brady did.
Yeah. Hey, what did he get away with at Ohio State?
Man.
Oh, that's been the story. That's been the story of Ohio State forever.
Can we go back to season 1 of 32 Kings when I said there's something wrong with anybody who wears a half shirt and as a suit?
He was just doing his full force thing.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, wow.
He wasn't born yet. He don't even know what full
He was
force
probably
is.
born to that movie.
House party?
You run around town like, I'm not going to say it.
Oh, good catch.
Again, this show is a sponsor.
No, but I mean, he's still going to ball out, but with the climate in NFL, with that being on him, he is going to lose some sponsorship and some money.
I agree with him being the bootbag winner. I disagree with what you said about him losing money because of who he plays for. Jerry Jones backs his Hogs.
He's going to get paid from Jerry, but I'm not talking
that's
about...
all that matters. Jerry backs him.
Jerry's not going to pay him.
Portion of their money, though.
Jerry's not going to pay him.
Jerry will pay him.
He didn't pay DeMarco Murray, who had
He ain't
seasons
DeMarco
tender.
Murray.
What?
He's not DeMarco Murray.
You're right. He's not. He's not that good.
DeMarco Murray ain't done the same thing under a different O-line.
Well,
that's why Jerry's not going to pay him.
Jerry will
That's
pay.
exactly
Jerry
why
likes him
because he knows he's got that old line.
Jerry's already backed him. Jerry said this man is getting used to being a rock star.
Jerry likes
Jerry
to talk.
Jerry knows what
likes
he has.
women. He likes to drink. It doesn't matter.
And he
that
likes
has nothing to do with anything.
rock stars.
Kev?
Omar, tell Skinny he looked like he just got out of a serious relationship with Erykah Badu.
Hey, Kevin.
Welcome back, Skinny.
The league ambassadors, baby!
I didn't say that.
Kevin, we here. I'm here for the entire season.
Welcome back, Hollywood Skin.
Hey, Kev, I love
that bloodline with no pants on.
Kevin, I love how you went USPS on that. You was like, Omar, tell Skinny. Oh, that's great. That's great. All right, so as is our custom, we hear the league ambassadors. We not only want to hopefully entertain and give our opinion, but also give some history, give some education, because, again, our goal is to tap into that UK market. We know that's what the NFL is looking to do. We're trying to break through first. And so the way that we do that is we look at the teams that are participating in the NFL International Series, and we focus on their history so that the fans in that area can be more educated about the NFL at large. This year, there are actually now 4 games that are going to be happening over in the UK. We've got
the first one?
The Ravens and the Jags.
Who's going to be there?
Okay,
We're going to be there.
What's the name of this segment again?
The name of this segment is Moments in Handegg. It's time for Moments in Handegg.
What the fuck does that mean?
Well, the Brits call a football a handegg.
So it's moments in football.
So it's moments, as in history. In handegg.
You got to tell somebody that.
In football.
I'm talking to the graphic designer. I was like, is this spelled correctly? I'm like, let me go check. This ain't my department. I got to go to you. I got to go to Omar. He's in the booth. I'm not getting nowhere.
So as I was saying, we've got the Ravens and the Jags on September 24th, Week 3 at Wembley Stadium. And then the following week, also at Wembley Stadium. By the way, you can take the under in that second game because that field is going to be atrocious after the first week. We've got the Saints versus the Dolphins in Week 4. Then we come back Week 7. You've got the Arizona Cardinals versus the Los Angeles Rams, and that's at Twickenham Stadium. And then the following week, week 8, you've got the Minnesota Vikings versus the Cleveland Browns. And so for our history segment during this season, the two topics that we want to tackle in the discussion are, number one, common threads. We've discovered that the pairings in each of these pairings, these teams involved, have some common threads in their history, and so we want to explore that. And then the second thing is we'll have a little fun. We're going to each sort of discuss who we think the Mount Rushmore for each of these teams are, with the exception of the Rams and the Jags, because basically we talked about that last season.
They keep sending them back.
They keep sending back the Rams and the Jags, which I don't know,
Sorry,
folks in the
London.
UK. Sorry, we want to just apologize for that. So we'll talk about something a little bit different with those two teams. But for all the other teams, or the remaining 4 teams, we'll kind of discuss just the Mount Rushmore. Who's the top player, the top coach, and the top front office in the history of the franchises of those organizations. So for today, we're going to start with the Ravens and the Jags. And it's the common thread historically. And I'll let Ambassador Dad start it. With what you discovered or what you felt like was the common thread between the Baltimore Ravens and the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Well, first, I'd like to start off by saying that the Jags and the Panthers beat us to the punch by getting our team back the year before. So Jacksonville started their NFL career in 1995. The Ravens started in 96.
I mean,
I think he'd take that, though.
Hey,
I think he
you
takes
all
that.
thank you, Omar.
You couldn't help it. I
you want
couldn't
to
help
explain
it.
yourself? All right, before you do, give my bottle back.
Too late, sucker.
How about
So, with that being said, we have a lot of history with the Jags because when we first started out, once we became a team, we actually were in the same division, which was the AFC Central.
Right.
So, in the all-time series, the Jags actually lead the series 11-9, but that's because they won the first 8. So put that in perspective. So we were in the same division for 6 years. The Jags actually won 2 division titles while we were in the same division. The thing that's funny that I realized with the Jags, they've made it, like you said, Les, earlier in prep. They've made it to the playoffs 6 times. The Ravens made it 10 times. But every time the Jags have made it to the playoffs, the Ravens were not in and vice versa. So we never have played each other in the actual playoffs. If you look at the actual records in the playoffs, the Ravens are 15-8 with 2 Super Bowls. And we've been to 4 AFC Championship games. And the Jags are 5-6 with 2 AFC Championship games. And they actually went their first season, I believe.
They did.
I thought it was the second, wasn't it? Second.
They went their first season, and they went 98 or 99 around one of those times. Now, we're very similar in the fact that we both drafted the same position for our very first draft pick. They drafted Tony Baselli, which we talked about last season, number 1 overall pick for them. And we drafted
Jonathan Ogden.
What school did Baselli go to?
He went to USC.
He was
And what
Trojan.
school did Ogden go to?
UCLA. And one of them was very good, but he got hurt and couldn't finish. The other was a Hall of Famer. So that's kind of where they start to diverge down that.
And I think Les, for Les's common thread, he wants to sort of explain why they diverge for 2 teams that started in the AFC Central, which is now currently the AFC North. Les, what do you feel like you point the culprit for?
Ozzie Newsome. That simple. I mean, when your management is as good as he is, your scouting department as good as they are, and they draft as well as they do, because you think they haven't drafted as high as Jacksonville has in the last 10 to 15 years, but they consistently draft better players. And that's the difference between the 2 franchises. You have, how many years has your quarterback started for you now?
10.
8.
This will be his 10th.
Yeah, we'll be
Flacco's 10 in?
Flacco's 10th season in.
Were you listening during my sipping on?
No.
I'm just going to shut
Once
up.
again, the show is brought to you by Buffalo Trace.
Exactly. And to think about this, outside of Brunel, the Jaguars have not had a quarterback that started more than 3 seasons.
It's funny that you mentioned Brunel, though, because we've actually never had. We've never.
Hey, hold on.
we've
Can I
never-
get the camera? Listen, we got to get this on our channel. You keep putting music on. They're going to kick us off.
Hey, call Tyrone. Call Tyrone, baby. Go ahead.
So anyway, but you're right about
talk
that.
about that later.
We've had longevity, but we've actually never had a Pro Bowl quarterback except for our very first year, which was Vinny Testaverde. But yeah,
I mean, Kyle Bowler was Pro Bowler.
That's what it comes down to. The GMs, the management. That's where that separation happens, where you have a team that's won 2 Super Bowls and a team that's won none and gone to the playoffs only 6 times.
Yeah, and they actually are one of the few teams. I can't say if they're the only, but they don't have any current Hall of Famers, and that goes for people that played for other teams and then came on. Like Deion Sanders is listed as a Baltimore Raven Hall of Famer. We know he's not.
Right.
They don't have anybody like that. So, and we have Jonathan Ogden. Ray Lewis will be next year. Ed Reed will be the year after that. And then they list Rod Woodson is debatable, but I don't think he's a Raven Hall of Famer, even though he was part of one of the best defenses. And then we have Deion.
Yeah.
They don't have anybody.
Tandon Doss and Darryl Smith played for both teams.
Oh my God, Chef Curry, what is your common thread that you found for the Ravens and the Jags?
Thank you, John.
Yeah.
My common thread was more of a common denominator, and it is Les's head coach, Mr. Jack Del Rio, who started out as the Ravens linebacker coach in '99 to 2000. He was coached one of the greatest linebackers ever, Ray Lewis, on one of the greatest defenses ever, and in my opinion, took that mindset from not just the Ravens, but the physical AFC Central Division. If anybody knew, that's when the divisions were split into 5 teams. There was 30 teams in the league. So you had Pittsburgh, who had a physical defense, Jerome Bettis. Tennessee, physical defense, Eddie George. Cincinnati, defense, Corey Dillon. The Ravens, of course, defense, Jamal Lewis. And Jacksonville, who had that physical defense, and then Fred Taylor. But he kind of modeled that. What are we laughing at?
Why was that funny?
Because you say you set up like he wasn't physical because he was Fragile Fred, but go ahead. Sorry.
He tried to be physical. That's my point. They tried to model the Jacksonville team when Del Rio got there in 2003 to establish a physical defense and then a tough offense that could pound the ball and then take shots downfield. Although they were trash his first season, they did have a top 5 defense, and ultimately in Del Rio's stint, they had 3 winning seasons, 2 playoff appearances. They just couldn't, to Les's point, they just couldn't consistently continue to rebuild talent to keep that train going.
Okay. I found something interesting, guys, with Jacksonville and Baltimore. Very good. Actually, there were 2 common threads. The first one was both of these teams were the first to come up with their own emojis in 2015.
Really?
Means the media department for both of these organizations is progressive.
He didn't mention.
Who the fuck are you?
He did not mention that.
He wanted to drop that nugget.
He did not mention that in show prep at
True
all.
story.
Ladies and gentlemen, USC education at its best.
In 2000, I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but in 2015, that's a true story. They really did. Jacksonville, Baltimore. But more seriously, Baltimore and Jacksonville are the forerunners for black quarterbacks. Let me tell you what I mean. The Baltimore Ravens are on record as having the most starting black quarterbacks in the NFL with 6.
But they don't want to.
Tony Banks. Come on, Kevin and Devin. Tony Banks.
Yep.
Randall Cunningham.
Anthony Wright. Steve McNair.
Steve McNair.
Okay, come on. 2 more.
Holy shit. Who
Oh,
else?
man.
There's some bums down.
Jeff Blake.
Oh shit, Jeff Blake.
Jeff Blake.
You're not going to get this one.
And Troy Smith.
There you go, Kevin! Yes!
What about Colin Kaepernick?
Oh, that's a burn.
Look at God.
That's
Look
a
at
burn.
Hey, we out in front of everybody else.
So they are the organization that's had the most black quarterbacks. But then the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2005 were the first NFL franchise to have a depth chart full of black quarterbacks.
All 3. Huh?
They had David Garrard. They had Byron Leftwich.
Where the fuck is David Garrard at right now?
Somewhere with Crohn's disease. He's somewhere with Crohn's disease. And then Quinn Gray.
Oh, shit.
They said Leftwich on the fast track to becoming a head coach.
Yeah, apparently he's made a great impression with Bruce Arians, quarterback coach. Yeah, and Quinn Gray. 2005.
You sound like a comic book character.
But it but it goes deeper than that. The connection, the common thread goes deeper than that. So in 2005, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they didn't hire a general manager until 2008, Mr. Gene Smith. Before that, they had a vice president of player personnel, a man by the name of James Shaq Harris. Shaq is a nickname for Meshach, as in Shadrach, Meshach,
and Abednego?
And a bad Negro. Yes. James Shaq Harris got his start in the NFL front office.
Bible verses show.
He got his start.
I promise you it didn't say bad Negro.
He got his start in the NFL front office in Baltimore under Ozzie Newsome.
Look at God.
So Ozzie Newsome trained James Shaq Harris. Ozzie Newsome is still the GM for the Baltimore Ravens that have the most black quarterbacks.
Is James Shaq Harris still the
No, James Shaq Harris is retired.
Bingo.
James Shaq Harris got his first basically GM job in Jacksonville, had a depth chart full of black quarterbacks. And so the lesson here is
take care of y'all.
Take care of y'all.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was really interesting that you know the black, as we all know, the starting black quarterback, especially in the 80s, 70s, and in the 90s even, was a very rare thing. And these two franchises were really on the forefront
Ask Charlie Ward.
of providing those opportunities.
Charlie Ward played in the NBA Finals before he took an NFL
Ask
snap.
Warren Moon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
29-year-old rookie.
Killing.
One thing I did peep, especially when we talk about draft picks or lack thereof. And of course, we can mention the Ravens and how long it took us to get a quality quarterback. In 2005, we had the 22nd overall pick, and we drafted Mark Clayton out of Oklahoma.
I remember that.
Guess who went 2 picks later that the Ravens could have had next to that awesome defense?
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers.
Well, everybody blew it on that.
So it's not just the 49ers' fault?
It's us too.
Wait a minute.
shit.
Who was your quarterback in 2005?
Kyle Bowler?
Kyle
Kyle
should have been.
a bowler.
Cal, I can throw it 60 yards from my knee bowler. That guy?
Makes no sense because guess what? In the NFL, you're down when you throw from your knee.
I know.
So why do people track that?
Oh my God. So anyway, that was interesting. I thought there's good common threads. Once again, Baltimore, Jacksonville started in the AFC Central. Definitely have told different stories. We'll see what happens this season. Could this be the season that Jacksonville breaks through and has some success? Don't answer that. Just laugh. Just laugh.
Can we talk about your boy Matthew, though? Or do we? No. We gonna keep.
Oh, Matthew Stafford. You want to talk about? Omar wants to talk about Matthew Stafford. Well, we're getting ready actually to wrap up. But what? Do you,
no, let's wrap up then. It's
no,
all good.
what do you, well, this is how I got you. Next week on our show next week, we will do our 2017 NFL season preview. So definitely check us out, and we will talk about this upcoming season and whether or not this is the year that Jacksonville will break through.
Win 5 games.
Blake Bortles.
Blake Bortles just won his
Move on
job
from
back.
fire for
Wait,
move on from Blake Bortles.
He did not win the job back.
That's what it said.
That's what Doug Marrone said.
Come on, son.
He wasn't as bad as Henny.
That means he did not win the job back.
So it's
But he
by
lost the
default.
job.
He wants to keep it.
Beat out
osmosis.
Quagmire.
He won it by
He lost
osmosis.
to dirt because he's the grass. That's
Oh
it.
my God.
So a couple of things here. Omar wants to comment on the latest NFL news, which is that Matthew Stafford got his big payday, 5 years, $135 million. I have a real question that I'll ask you guys, but first, Omar, what do you want to say about that?
I think I'm going to surprise
He's
you
transcended, huh?
Because I think I'm going to surprise you guys. I think he deserves every penny of that contract. And y'all know
That's what you were going to say?
Yeah.
Really?
You know I don't believe he's transcended. You know how I feel about him, but I believe Jay Cutler made $110 million in his career, not counting the $10 million he made.
That has
this
nothing to do
year.
with Matthew Stafford, other than
I
he
get
stole
it.
money from your team.
Matthew
No,
Stafford.
but
He's got a point. Let's see what he got to say.
Yeah, if Jay Cutler can make $110 million in his career, Matthew Stafford deserves every penny he's getting.
They should have Tom Savage starting at
I
quarterback.
do agree with
There's very few.
You think deserves all that money?
There are very few franchise quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly believe he's a franchise quarterback.
You dropped wholeheartedly, so we know you're serious.
Yeah.
He's a franchise quarterback.
knows.
So
I just don't think he's transcended.
Let
That's
me
different.
let me ask you guys this question though. I feel like what's happening is, and I'll just say the NFL, blame it on whatever. But I feel like the NFL has done a little bit of this kick the can down the road game. And what I mean by that is this. Okay, 5-6 years ago, these in the draft, there wasn't a rookie scale. And so if whoever the top quarterback was getting this huge signing bonus, huge contract coming out the gate. Okay? And then they were like, this is ridiculous. The veterans were getting pissed. So then they put in the rookie wage scale. And so now what's happening is whoever is next up in order for next in line for the contract extension, they're now getting this big crazy money. And I get it. Matthew Stafford, he's the best quarterback Detroit's going to get. Although you could argue, looking at the free agents that are slated to be available next year in 2018 for quarterbacks, there are some other big names out there. But whatever, we won't compete. The thing is this. Who was the last quarterback to get paid big time? Derek Carr got paid, right? And so to Skinny's point, Skinny's always said, Matthew Stafford's agent just said, hey, just wait till Derek gets his deal, and then we're going to come on top of that. So now it's Matthew Stafford. At some point, what owner is going to stand up and say enough is enough? Because otherwise, you're going to run into this situation where these quarterbacks that probably don't deserve to be the highest paid player, even if it's for a year, they get paid.
Well, are you talking about Mike Glennon?
Keep going.
I'm gonna keep going with that. So no, but so they don't grow on trees. So you have someone in house. Now, granted, it's the richest deal in NFL history, right? So when his cap hit this year is actually nullified the way they restructured it. It's going to be the exact same. So when it reaches its peak, which I believe is like $30+ million a few years down the line, that's the same time that all the other big quarterbacks' career contracts are expiring.
Okay.
So that cap is going to inflate. So it's not even going to be that big of a hit. So right now they can actually
29 now.
Yeah, right now they can actually use that money that they were going to get from restructuring that to actually get some other pieces. And when the shit hits the fan will have gotten bigger.
So what you're saying is that there's things that they can structure these contracts in such a way to where it's not like the quarterback is just taking all the money and they can't still add to their team. They'll be able to do that as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that how you feel about it, Skinny?
Matthew Stafford's not worth.
Can anybody name 10 quarterbacks better than Matthew Stafford in the league?
We're not doing that.
No, for real. Name them.
What's the 10?
10 that's been there been 10 years.
Yeah, that list.
Was it 10?
Everybody on that list is
8.
better than him.
There's 8. There's 8.
Okay.
Derek Carr. Add Derek Carr to that list.
Derek Carr.
Add Russell Wilson.
Well, add Russell Wilson. That's 9.
That's 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's 10.
Yeah, there you go.
So yes.
All them.
He's above average.
Derek Carr just got paid. Russell Wilson will get paid more than him.
Which I think was early for Derek, but you lock him in.
Yeah, that's Steph Curry.
We
It was
saw
perfect deal.
pre-Derek Carr life.
And Russell's not getting another contract for a while.
Kevin.
He got re-upped on a 3rd-round pick from that contract.
Yeah, he did. Kevin.
Yeah, kicking the can down the road is exactly what Detroit wants to do now. You pay your guy and let the next team have to worry about the next big contract. And I think for Detroit, I got to disagree with you, Skin. I think that's the move you make. He's 70% of their offense. They don't have a running game. They don't have a defense. He's the reason they won 9 games last year.
No.
He's also the reason they did.
They got lucky.
Take this with you. The Jacksonville Jaguars wish they had someone they could pay $135 million.
Absolutely.
The Jacksonville Jaguars wish they had Alex Smith.
Take what you can get.
I don't think
Go
anybody
with it.
wants Alex Smith. In my opinion.
They do. Okay. Well,
I'm pretty sure we can run through some teams.
I'm gonna throw
Alex Smith.
I'm gonna throw this
The
Molotov
same teams
cocktail
that we
out
call
there
Colin
on the way out the door. Again, check us out next week. 2017 NFL season preview show. One of the quarterbacks on that list is Joe Flacco. I'm going to ask the non-Baltimore Raven fans, Matthew Stafford or Joe Flacco? Junior Blue?
Flacco.
Skinny?
I'm taking Stafford.
Omar?
Stafford.
So then he'd be one of the, to your point, he'd be one of the top 10. That's why I asked the question.
Fuck y'all. we get another ship.
And on that note, let's take a shot and get out of here.
I need some Buffalo Trace.
We thank you for visiting.
Come on, motherfucker.
We thank you for visiting.
I got it anyway. I got it anyway,
guys, I'm trying to get us out of here.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for visiting 32 Kings Road.
Came close.
Visit us everywhere on social media. Our handle is @TheLeagueAM. For those of you that don't understand the Erykah Badu, please watch our video either on our YouTube channel.
It ain't gonna be there.
Or
That's the problem. It's not gonna be there.
oh my gosh! Or watch it on our website,
Past fair
TheLeagueAM.com.
use.
We will see you next week. Cheerio.
32 teams, 32 boroughs, 32 kings. It was all a dream until we woke y'all up while the fat lady sings. We gon' count these dimes, 7 partners in crime. 7 names, no games as I run it down the line. We got Kenny Ken, put 100 on the tees with the streak for the cash. ESPN. That money. Skinny the comedian and thespian, spitting jokes faster than a Tommy gun. But somehow Lucius is the only funny one. Seth Curry with the shot. The prodigy. In reality, he's more like Seth, but he's all we got. Up next is Gentleman Jack, better known as Junior Blue. We told him not to do it anyway, but he did what he do. To his right is Devin, that dude, Eldad or Dirt Ass Dan. Just don't ask him a question, cause then he'll answer your question with another question, and then he'll add another question on top of that question. Damn. And I'm Red O, the Buck Wild Problem Child.
Flow Butter, aka John Cutter.
It's the league ambassadors, and we playing to win at the 2-yard line. And make no mistake, we running it in.